All right. Morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Crafts with John here on Casino Gaming TV. We're going to talk more about practice today. I think I got inspired the other night by Craps Chat because somebody asked a question, I mentioned it yesterday, about confidence at the table. Like, I think it was Cajun Craps. When did the butterflies kind of go away? And we had a good discussion about that. And I think some great things were said by some of the other members of the panel, and a lot of it comes to do with confidence, right? I said my thing was, obviously you're good. You should have butterflies. You're going into a fight. You should have butterflies. It should make you nervous every time, to some degree. But once you're there, your ability to play the game should override that. And you just kind of get it, you get into the groove. But for some new players, especially, you may not have the confidence even once you're there and in the game to kind of make the right moves or whatever. Like, you're a new player or you're just not comfortable with what you're doing. And this comes down to a lot of preparation. I think, I hate to quote him, but Russell Wilson used to always say the separation is in the preparation. And that was one of his Russell Wilson, by the way, he was a good quarterback when he was here in Seattle. He was known for these like super pithy one-liners like that. But that one's a good one. Actually, it does separate you from you. Separate you from yourself, like getting out of your own head kind of thing, if you're prepared to play the game. So this week has been about that. Yesterday, I want to talk about preparing your strategies against actual dice. And we'll talk a little bit more. I want to have a question that came up in chat that I want to answer about that, actually two. So we'll come to that here in a minute. But before we do, let's jump into a quick review. This is wrong. Oh, that's right. It's 10-1. We won yesterday again, which was good. Yesterday was kind of a mess, though. I misdealt a little bit. One of the best comments of all time came out yesterday. I was dealing the thing, and I made a mistake. I think I paid myself, and I put the black chip back in the dealer rack and not in my own rack. And I said, hey, let's see where we are. And I pulled everything down, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm down $60, or I was down $45. I mean, there's no way I'm down $45. And I said, the comment I made was, how the hell am I down? And the comment came overnight, and he said, you're down. The guy said, I ask myself that every time I play a hybrid. Why am I down? That's the knock on hybrids. You're playing, and it seems like it's going good. And all of a sudden, you're bleeding out money. Like, what the hell happened to my money? I actually made a mistake dealing yesterday, so I went and redealt the entire thing live. I'm like, let's start over again. And it turns out that I was actually sitting there at paycheck with excess when I thought I was down $50 or $60. So that was kind of a interesting little turn there. So we won yesterday. It's 10-1. This 678 with a $1,252 total profit so far. It's doing good. We had one day where we lost $235. We've won every other day. There was a second session that we did one day that lost. I don't know how much yet. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But there's another loss coming in there. I don't know how much it's going to be. Work's been busy. I haven't had time to do anything craps related besides wake up and talk to you guys. So I've done no prep, like my normal, and I'll explain again what I'm about to do. But it's been rough. So I haven't had time to go back and do that one day yet. So yesterday I switched over, and I'm doing this like the equivalent of 130 across. It's 130 across minus the point. So whatever it could be 115 across. It could be 100 across. This depends on what the point is. But I'm doing that with a small don't pass and massive odds. The massive odds are just there for a couple of rolls. Just get me to a couple of hits and out kind of a thing. And then I'll take the odds off the don't and we'll just ride it out. And that worked really well. I think it's a better way to approach it. I like big flat don'ts, but I don't like jumping out of the gate with 150 out there. With the bankroll that we have, I think that's too much. I know Jacob says, 10% of your bankroll should be your flat. If you're going to keep playing it like I do, there's not enough bankroll there to do that. So I feel like I want to wait for that level of don't until we're up in the bankroll. So for now, I think 25 flat max odds does it. I've got to get better at playing with excess. I'm typically a really good short stack player, but the last probably 4 or 5 times the excess, I burned it. I've only got $45. We go out there one time in PSO, and it's like, well, that was fun. And we lose it too quick. So I've got to work on A, getting more access to play with. So I have 2 shots at it maybe. And B, just playing a little bit better instead of just going, laying it out there and going all in. So that's the recap from the paycheck. Now on the come out roll, I want to talk about a couple things. One, Friday night fights. Don't forget, it's Corey starting a new a new series. He's now 2 in a row playing Glenn. I think Glenn's beaten Corey before, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be always a good one to deal. Duracell wrote me in a text yesterday, and it was a great text. He says to me, "You should do one of your breakdowns of AZ's Monster." Now, if you remember, I've done this a couple of times. I went to Hawaii Crap Shooters when they've done their live broadcast. I've logged all the rolls from somebody, and it's usually like 12 to 18 or whatever. And I'm like, hey, let's play those rolls as you would have played it. I played them against a Molly and against whatever, and to show you how much money you could have or couldn't have made based on strategy. And again, the dice will do what they do to you, right? But how would I have played the roll? And I can show how I could have played AZ's 57 roller or whatever that was with the Horseman, with a Molly, a traditional Molly, and with like my 130s. So I'm going to download the numbers. Duracell forwarded me somebody who wrote all the numbers down, and I'll put them into WinCraps, and I'll run all the strategies in WinCraps around that one set of rolls, and we'll see which one would have won the most. And I'll show you them on the table. I think it's better. We talked about it yesterday. WinCraps is great. I think it's better to see and feel on the table a roll like that, so you can see what's actually happening. There's issues with WinCraps. We'll talk about those in a minute, but that's coming. Other things that I'm on the way with is I got to recalculate my daily paycheck stuff, and I'll show you what I mean by that. If I go here, let's see. For example, here is this week or this month. This month right here. This is the 6, 7, 8. Okay. We've done pretty good. We've won all the days except for the one horrible day we had. But if you look at these, at $1,200, our win goal was 120. At $1,500, our win goal is 150. So the days that we won more than the exact amount of 10% were days we had excess. So what I want to do here is make this column should always be either 150 or a little bit less. It should never be more than 150. What I'm going to do is I made a new spreadsheet called excess, where I'm going to put the excess, like yesterday's play, we had $80 at excess. I lost 55 of it. We racked a quarter. I'm going to put all the excess into a separate tab here, and we're going to track the excess on the summary sheet separately. So the strategies did what they did. The excess does what it does. Oh, shit. And overall, needs what I do. Overall, I just screwed the whole thing up. I'll fix that. And overall, the paycheck is what the paycheck is, right? The goal sheet won't change. This is talking about how the strategies did, and our total day. This is the total day, the total master bankroll. This one also reports on total bankroll, but it's going to break down how a strategy performed versus how excess performed. And I think seeing it that way is going to make a lot more sense. So you can actually see like the Latterson won exactly 120 how many days, and it won or lost X on certain other days. That'll give you a better sense of the Latterson being, which it was. I think it was 16-3 or something like that. But the 3 losses were enormous. So the Latterson actually lost money over the course of this time. It didn't break even or have $1,000 win. That $1,000 win was there because of an excess win. I want to separate that and make the strategies themselves report on just themselves. If that makes sense. If I'm doing the science experiment right, that has to be reported correctly and separately. So again, the bankroll and the bankroll will be the bankroll. It's combined strategy plus excess play. And so the excess play, I think, is where we made a bunch and lost a little bit. It's the balance in the whole thing. And I think, like I said, in my life, you can't see my spreadsheet. Jeez, sorry. Thank you, Jen. How's that? Is that better? Let me show you this again. I'll start over. Here's the Latterson. Okay, the Latterson won $1,000 over the course of its month, which is about 10% over the month, right? It should have won 10% every day. So if I take out the excess day where we won the 2K, okay, this day here we won $2,100, whatever it was in excess, right? This should report 100, 100, 100, 100, whoops, every single day. Why do I keep moving stuff around? This should report the same number every day, the exact 10%. The strategy won 10% or it didn't win 10%, right? If there's extra here, you could say, yeah, the last run, we earned a few bucks. But really what it is we're going to lock 150 or whatever the number was, play with the excess, and I'll log the excess on this extra tab. And that way the summary sheet will show you how much we did in the Latterson, how much we did in the 6, 7, 8, and what we did with our excess. And you'll find that the strategies themselves are going to probably tread water, make a little tiny bit. The excess is going to be the difference. It might be where we win a bunch or lose a bunch, but right now the excess is way ahead. We had one monster roll in the excess. I've lost $40 probably, I don't know, 5-6 times, maybe a little more, but I won 2K once. So what will happen is this will report on the entire bankroll. The goal sheet reports on the entire master bankroll, which is built from both excess and strategy. And I want to report the excess and the strategy as two separate things for you so that I don't want to give you a false impression that the Latterson did great. It did okay, but this one washes out those two losses. Technically speaking, the Latterson lost $2,000. It lost $1,000 twice. Actually, it lost $3,000, $700, $1,200, $1,200. On its own, it lost $3,000, mitigated by this. So I want to give a proper picture of how the Latterson really did. And this one day skews the Latterson because the Latterson didn't win that money. Something else did. So we're going to pull it apart. It won't change the overall number. The overall bankroll number will not change. The reporting of how I got there will change and be way more clear. So I need time for that. So I'm going to go back over here. I need the time to do that because it just takes a hot minute to go back and watch the videos and pull out those sessions and where the excess kind of came from. Then I'll report that. I do have the one off day to report still and get the numbers on that. So I got some work to do. Once my work kind of slows down, I'll get to that. And that's what's heading your way. Okay. So just give me some time to do that. Plus a couple of coding things I want to change too. Next, what's on tap? I'm going to start doing this again every day. So you get a sense of where it's at. And I want to show you something actually. I did some work yesterday. I found a bug in the scheduler, but I'll give you a quick overview here. Today we got Midday Mac at 11:30 my time. So these I'll give you Pacific and Eastern times. Texas Crap Shooters goes live tonight with Alex Kim from CEG at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. Then Alfredo goes back live again. This is at 7:45, I think. Did I get that wrong? Yeah, 7:45 and 10:45. And then at 7 o'clock, Big AZ goes live with a Yazzie challenge. It's going to be a live premiere. Next Sunday, we have Ed, and I'm working on integrating HCS, Hawaii Crap Shooters, Wager Me This, if he goes, because Wager's going live a lot now, and George from CY, and I need to know in chat, give me a PC. Who else do I need to get on here that's going live? I know Ryan Mark the Point goes live a little bit, and let me actually go back to here again. I want to show you where this is, just in case you forgot. On the Casino Gaming TV homepage, you're going to have the scheduler. Now, right now, it all fits nice, but we're going to add, like I said, Hawaii Crap Shooters and George and Wager. It's going to be a scrollable thing. And it goes to the side here. So there you can see there's the Texas Crap Shooters, there's the Yahtzee Challenge, there's the Alex Kim interview. And here's this morning, Joe from Craftsmaster Journey. Your live got in there this morning because when you schedule it, it does show up. It's better if you get them ahead of time, right? So these are a day ahead, but this is going to start looking more like a TV station, right? And really what I was trying to limit who's in the left-hand side here by folks that are actually producing content for CGTV. But really, I need to just broaden the envelope a little bit, or broaden the broom a little bit and get more of these live channels in here so we can get them in. And that will hopefully lead to more content created for CGTV. So that's what I'm doing here. Give me a little bit to get everybody typed in, and we'll get their logos up here as well. So that's what's happening now. It's going to take me just a hot minute to get everybody kind of in there. So that's what's happening there. Now, let's get back to a couple of things about practice. Yesterday I made a point, and JB Myopia came back and said, hey, what's wrong with the RNG? And I said yesterday, you're stuck with the RNG in WinCraps, which is fine, but it gets into pockets. That one specifically does, and Steen knows it. And it's not like it's a secret. And I wish I was a computer scientist, an actual computer scientist. I'm a coder, not a scientist, who can explain how RNGs are built. But what I can tell you is this: they're seeded. Most RNGs, WinCrafts included, are seeded with a set of results, okay? And you jump into the seed, which is like a starting point, basically, and you're picking from numbers that are kind of pre-generated. So actually, if you were to start over in the seed, you'd get the exact same set of random results. The seed is randomly filled with numbers of results, and you can actually restart the seed and get the same set of results every single time. You get predictability in there. But RNGs, especially when they're written algorithmically. What I mean by that is modern computers, my Mac Mini right now has an RNG built into the motherboard, okay? And it's a good one. Other, obviously, slot machines do as well. Better computers do that too. Older computers don't. They rely on software random number generators to get their random numbers. Windcrafts, I know, was written in Visual Basic. Visual Basic is not well supported any longer by Microsoft, so you're stuck with a software-based algorithm in a computing language. Like PHP or JavaScript, they have built-in RNG systems that tend to bias numbers. I saw a really good example online. I was researching yesterday, like, how do I best explain this, right? And the explanation that I got was a good visual. Like, you got picture a million ice chests. Each ice chest with a million numbers in it, right? Or a million ice cubes in it. And you say, hey, I want to get some random ice cubes, but I want them to be a certain size. Like, we need our ice cubes to be between 1 and 6, 1 and 6 inclusive, right? That's a die. Open up a random ice chest out of the million. In that random ice chest, pick a random cube out and say, is this cube within 1 and 6? Yes, it is. I'll keep it. And because it kept it, it stays in that ice chest. That's your seed. Now you're in that one chest out of the million chest, and everything you're doing is working out of that one ice chest. And you're always finding the cubes in that chest that fit the criteria 1 through 8 or whatever, or 1 through 6. That's how RNGs, from a software standpoint, typically work. You're seeding a bunch of things. You're picking a seed, jumping into there, and picking from the small subset of the entirety, right? More advanced RNGs say every single time I'm going to pick a random chest. Every single time in the random chest, I pick a number, reset the whole thing, and do it again. Where Windcrafts and other language-based RNGs pick from a smaller subset, those subsets can tend to favor numbers. And it's not like it's on purpose, but you end up with, it'll appear to be a random distribution, but they favor numbers within. And that happens sometimes. So that's the explanation. Without getting too super technical, and I don't understand all the factors behind that, but that's what happens. They tend to bias numbers. Now, we are also humans prone to seeing weird patterns in randomness, which is super true. But RNGs will favor numbers. And when I say getting it into pockets, that's the reason why. A particular ice chest in our example may have, a fewer number of 8s in it for whatever reason, or more 7s or whatever in that one seed that we're playing with. And if you get stuck in that seed, you're going to get weird results. And I've seen Windcrafts go, I've had strategies in Windcrafts where I restart the seed and I'll go, I'll win $1 billion 3 times in a row, and then I'll lose 10,000 20 times in a row. It's so, you get these really amazing, huge peaks and valleys that you don't normally see in a true random distribution. And I think the power of Windcrafts to me is using actual rolls, like rolls that I've logged myself or that somebody else has logged at a casino. I prefer to use those rolls, those 5,000, 10,000 roll suites, and then run strategies through those that they give a pretty good look at, like, human viewed and human rolled peaks and valleys that are more true to form. So that's the reason why, again, without knowing the science behind how RNGs actually work, I know that they tend to bias things, and I know that the seeds get small. And unless you reseed it, in Windcrafts, there's actually a button, reseed it. So you can pick a new seed and get out of that ice chest that you're stuck in. And that's kind of what happens. And that's why I think Wizard of Oz's RNG and the Windcrafts one, they're software-based. And software-based RNGs will end up becoming non-random over time. Over time is the wrong way to say it. They become non-random because of the seeds. And that's just what it is. So I trust rolling random dice like I did yesterday. I'd rather do that than have an RNG out there, just kind of getting into these crazy weird pockets. And again, the other part of Windcrafts that I love is the long view of it, right? I know that I can win or lose massive amounts of money over time, but it's hard to see why. You see a big peak or a big valley, like what happened in that valley that cost me $1 million? What did I do right in this big peak that cost me $1 million? Hard to dive in and see what the rolls were when it's randomly generating them and it's going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So the tool I like to use is my eyes. I want to put dice out there and make my bets and go, oh, I see the pattern here. I see what's going on. Like, this sequence of rolls is the kryptonite. And then you can go, okay, well, given that kryptonite, I'm either going to not play the strategy because it sucks, or I'm going to try and do a little bit of a tweak to it and dodge when that happens. Or when that happens, I've already kind of pre-dodged it. So that's what yesterday was about. Today, I want to talk about this, which is bet practicing. And this goes into confidence, okay? I say mistakes get made in the moment because the game is heated and it's quick. Unless you're there alone, it's a fast game. And there's a whole lot going on. And the dealers are like, they're hyper-focused. They got things happening. And if you're not ready for them, you get skipped. I've been skipped if I'm not ready on a fast table. You can make a big mistake. So things you can do wrong, right? You can forget your press amounts. Forget where you're going and what you need to get there. You are like, what do I got out there? What's on? When you're doing that all the time, it slows everything down, number one. But it takes you out of your rhythm too, right? And the dealers they have to come back and it's a thing. Making the wrong bet calls because you're nervous or you forget where you are. You drop $3 out there thinking you're going to press and it's the wrong amount, and it's a tie up. You end up late betting sometimes because, oh shit, I forgot to do X. And I've done that, right? I'm like, oh crap, my 6 is supposed to be 42, and I quick drop $12 out there. Can you $42 6? And they'll go, it's a bet, and I'll put it down behind the pass line, and it's like, that's bad form. You should never do that. But you get nerves, and it happens, especially in a busy game on a Saturday night. In a big city, you're at your local casino. It's a different story sometimes. So some of the things that you can do, and I'll steal a quote from Ed here, is practice how you play. And I think that if you're a nervous player, if you're nervous not because your bankroll is small, you don't want to lose, but you're nervous because I'm not really sure like what I'm doing or how I'm going to execute it. These are the things that you ought to do. And I will tell you this, and this is for everybody who watches YouTube. This should be a short. Ready? I'm going to cut a short right here. If you're watching YouTube and you're seeing a craps video that looks great, you better practice it. And I mean practice it a lot. Put the dice on the table, or put the chips on the table, run that thing out, know your bet calls, know your bet amounts, know what you're going to do on every single roll. Critical to practice. You do not do a Wayland's ladder strategy. Ladder the 4 and 10, place 6 and 8, whatever he's doing, A, without the bankroll, but B, you better damn well know how that thing works. And you better have rolled it out for yourself 100 or more times so you know, I got this. Because in the casino, nobody else plays that way. You start doing the mind and you're pressing up when you're not winning, and they're like, what the hell are you doing? And you're dropping $22 every time or whatever you're dropping every time. It's a mind blower for the casinos, right? You better be ready to control what's out there. You better know I got 2, 3, 4, 5 units out there, and know what that means in your rack and be ready to pull it down on your call. But unless you've practiced it over here, you're not going to know that, right? So you got to practice. So use your words. Use the right words when you're going to press 1 unit, press 2 units, press half, full press, parlay. Know what the words mean, number one, and practice saying them. And if you have to throw chips out to make the right bet, know what that is. Have your change ready. You better know all the what ifs too. I think this comes down to using your rack. When I'm doing presses that require change or whatever, I set my rack up, and I'll show you here in a minute what you can do ahead of time. And again, it just comes down to practicing this. Set my rack up ahead of time with the chips that I might need to make the next move. So I know what I'm going to say, and my chips are ready. So when it's my turn, when he's coming around to me, it's my turn. I'm dropping my $2 and saying, take me to 40 or whatever the bet I'm going to do is. Okay. Work your rack, know your regressions. When you get to a point where you're ready to regress, make it easy. Bring me down to 96 across or 160 across or 110 inside or back to 66, please. Sometimes it's not a bad thing to have your $66 sitting in the rack. Put that out there to come and say, take me down to 66, take me down and put me to 66 and give him all the whites and reds he wants, instead of having to do all the moves out there. Sometimes that's the lesser of two evils. Know that going in, okay? When you make it easy on the dealers, they make it easy on you, and that generates tips for them and generates a way better experience for you, for sure. So, all right, let's see. We've got a couple of comments here before I jump to the table. I'm going to go back a screen because Blacklight says this, which is interesting. If I detect RNG bias, prove it by taking advantage of it. Now, I assume you're talking about bubble craps. And I have said before that bubble craps are on an RNG. Well, I know they're on an RNG. There's no question about that. Whether the RNG is biased or not, to be determined. Like I said, like a regular slot machine, RNGs in the casinos are coded in such a way that the machine pays back X%. It's got, by law, it's got to pay back at least whatever it is, 85 or 95%, depending on the place. The RNG knows that, and it's coded for that. So you're right. If I detect the bias at a machine, bet the advantage. I don't know how do you detect the bias? I mean, I'm not that smart. You know, I know that on the bubble crafts, it just seems to know when I'm on the 4 and 10, it picks me, right? Whether that's by design or not, I'm not at liberty to say. I could never say that, but I know what you're saying. I think the RNGs are all biased to some degree, because if it was completely left to its own devices, right, you can get those big spikes we see in Windcrafts. Can you imagine a slot machine doing a spike like that where it wins for the player 68 or 75 times in a row? That can't happen, right? So there's code at play somewhere for sure. Darksider says, the latest version of Windcrafts give the breakdown by point for the DP and the DP odds bet and the results. I got to check. Let me, I'm going to run some Windcrafts, not today, but later in the week, maybe when I get my work stuff kind of sussed out, and I'll let you know. I'll email you later on and let you know when I see that. I think that it does. I think his new reporting stuff, he's always adding new reports. And the thing with Windcrafts is that he tucks the reports away where they fit, and they're sometimes hard to find, right? So there we go. Let's see. I don't know, Blacklight. I wish I knew. What I know about the bubble crafts on the RNG is that one of the manufacturers of the bubble crafts machines was on with David at CEG and confirmed it. He said, yes, they are. They run an RNG. They're considered slots. They can't be considered slots unless there's an RNG at play. That's all I know. Of course, you're not going to get any details out of that, but that's what the guy said that to David on an episode. So we know that, right? How it works, is there bias? I got no idea. I have no clue how it works. I just know that was said by somebody who works at the company. So that's the best answer I can give you on that. I wish I had more, but I don't. And that's why I say they're on an RNG. What does that mean for you? Nothing. It means nothing to you. It means that they're essentially, for all intents and purposes, random. But I believe that thing can pick a seed, right? Remember, we talk about random seeds are those ice chests. I believe that the RNG can pick a seed that's unfavorable to the bets that are out there versus the bets that are not out there. You know what I'm saying? When it needs to catch up to us. I don't know if that's true. I'm speculating. I'm probably going to get paratroopers coming to my house and take me out for saying that. But that's sort of how I feel. But yeah, and Jacob's right. They're regulated. Because they're regulated, there has to be code behind it. And again, how that code works, got no idea. Don't make enough money, not well educated enough to know, but I know there's something behind it. Anyway, let's go back. Let's go back and do some stuff. Let's head here. Let me put that light on, and let's see what we can do. I'm going to try and spread the bets out the best I can. I don't have a whole lot of time left here, do I? What time is it? And again, my clock went away. What happened to my freaking clock? Doesn't this scene have a clock on it? Hold on a second. Where is my scene? Lower third. Huh. I thought this one had a clock. I guess it doesn't. That's annoying. So I have to guess at what time. It's 8:30. I have to guess. Here we go. Here we go. I've got 64 across sitting out here. Okay. So I'm going to basically, I'll spread the 6 out and the 5 out. I'm going to spread the bets out so you can see them a little better. Okay. And let's work our rack a little bit. And let's assume we got a bunch of reds and whites out here. Okay, so you're going to want to do some things. What you have to know is this, and I'll put this on my side of the rack. So I'm the player. Hopefully you can see, move it up here so you can see it better. There we go. I'll put the chips back here on my side. This is like the player side. So they're backed by my profit section. And what's going to happen next here? So you have to know, what did the bets pay? First things first, at 64 across, 10 pays $18. Okay, let's put that out. I'm going to put the $18 out front. This is your first level of practice, 18. You know that's what it's going to pay. The 9 is going to pay $14. We know that. Let's go here. I'll put Chiro. Where's the yo? Oh, it's down here. Okay. The 9 pays $14, as do the 6, 8, and 5. Okay, so the 10, I'll put this in the middle because these all pay the same. What you have to know is A, what the bets you have out there pay, and B, where you want to go with them. So if you're predisposed to be a same better, you have a couple of choices. On the 4 and the 10 at 18 bucks, you can drop $2 and say 2 for 20. That's how you'd say that. Drop it out here and say 2 for 20, please, and they'll give you four reds. Okay. I have done 7 for a quarter and got myself a nice green chip. If I got too many reds and whites in there, I'll do that. Now, how do I know that? Ahead of time, what I do is this. I actually set my rack up like this. If I want 7 for a quarter, I'm going to same bet it. I'm putting $7 right here. Now, again, we'll assume I have more whites in my rack so I can do this, right? I'll put the $7 on the 4 and the 10. So I know I'm same betting them. It's going to pay 18. I'm going to drop $7 and get me a nice quarter out of that. I'm putting the $7 right out front. Okay. On the 6 and 8 and the 5 and the 9, if it's 15 for 1, there's my whites. And my rack is set up right here so that when the 6 comes, it's 4, 5, 6, 15 for 1, please. And I get my $15 back. If you set your rack up to handle your next bet, if you need to make change, preemptively make change to what you want to do, this is a way, especially if you're a new player and you have low amount of confidence of what you're going to do and you're thinking, oh, what am I going to do? It's too busy, right? We roll a 5, you're roll a 9. You're like, what am I going to do? 15 for 1, just drop it out there, right? And ahead of time, right? When it's coming to you, when he's going, this guy, and it's you, drop the buck, 15 for 1. Okay, you'll drop it out in front of you, obviously, and that's how they pay you. So know that ahead of time. That's one thing you can do. Okay. Also, we know on the 8, a full press of the 8 is going to take it to 24. So you don't have to have a chip here for the 6 and the 8. Right? That would be, to me, an empty slot means full press. I look at my rack, go, okay, I'm going to full press this one. That's all I have to know is say full press. When it comes down, press me up, please, is the word you use. Press me up or full press. They know to give you back the cap and stack it up. That's going to be an automatic move for the dealer. I'm going to leave the 8 out here at $24. I'm going to see what happens next. Okay. That's an automatic move to take your whites back in. So 6, 8, 5, 9, 15 for 1. Here you can do a full press. Okay. Or on the 5 and 9, check this out. This is one of my favorite moves too on the 5 and 9, especially early on. Again, because I know it's 14 plus 10 is 24. I can drop a buck on the 9 and say, take me to a quarter. That might be a move. So my dollar could be 15 for 1, or it could be take me to a quarter. And I can drop the buck and say, take me to a quarter. And they know ahead of time. If I do it once, the dealer starts to know me. He goes, oh, okay, cool. And they don't even pay you, right? You go from your rack, take me to a quarter, please. And they go, sure thing, sir. And they go, well, boom. And they replace it right away. You make their job a little bit easier by doing your job a little bit better. So again, having your money in the rack ready to go for that next press that you want to make is important. Now, what about if I wanted to go from 12 all the way to 30, okay, which a lot of people will do? Well, what is the difference? You're going to get paid $14. Let's do the math here and see what it's $14. What is 12 plus 14? Well, let's put it out. There's 20 for $26. Yeah? What do you need to go to 30? You need $6. So I would put $6, sorry, on the 8 rather, and the 6 maybe. And so I know, let's go to 30, please. We're going to drop that out, okay? There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your 20, I'm sorry. And there it is. There's your $30, okay? You drop your money out there to get yourself up where you want to be. Does that make sense? Ahead of time? Get your press money ready to go so they know when they see you drop the money, they don't even do the change. When you drop that dough out there, they're making the bet for you as you drop the money. They know automatically what your next bet is going to be. Do that one again. Let me get my $10 out there. Make sure we got that right. I'm talking too fast here. I'm making mistakes. Okay, you got 12. It pays 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your 25. You're dropping, sorry, I don't know why I'm thinking 6, but you're dropping $4, right? And you're going up to $30. All right, there's your move. You got me all, right? Have your money ready in the rack for the next bet. Whatever your press move needs to be. Now, if you're already at, let's say 24, what are your moves from here? If you're at 24 bucks, what does 24 pay? Nah, I'll just spread it out so you can see it. It's easier if it's spread out. There's 24 pays $28. Where can you go from there, right? You can just go to 30 bucks, okay? From 24 to 30 bucks is how much? That's your $6, right? And you can drop 6 and get yourself up to 30 bucks and take the $28 back. You can take this back, or what you can do is drop 3. Either way, it'll work. If you drop 3 bucks down, you can go from 24 to 30 and take back the green chips. You can drop 3 to go to 30. You can drop 6 and take the full change back. You can do either way to make it easy for the dealers. But again, know what your next move might be. If you want to full press that, right? 24 pays 28. There's 24. There's 28. What is the next move from here? What is the next logical move from here? There's a couple things you can do, right? One nice move is to go to 42. Say, take me to 42. Let's take a look at what happens. If you got paid 28, you had 24, and you want to go to 42 bucks, there's your 42. You're going to get back exactly $10 on that transaction. And that's not a bad little move right there. But know that ahead of time. Take me to 42 is not a 1-unit press off of 24. It's not a full press either. A full press actually takes you up to 48. So know that, 48 to pay 56. But it's a non-standard press. It's not a 1-unit. It's not a full press. It's not a half press. But you're going to say, take me to 24 or take me to 42. And when you're at 42, which is a great place to be, 42 on the 6. And by the way, 42 on the 6 is the same thing as 35 on the 5 and 9. These bets are here. Dollars in the rack. Why dollars in the rack for those? 42, 35 pays $49. These bets pay $49. 25, 45. That's a lot of garbage coming into your rack right there. What a lot of us do, give them $1 and say 50 for 1, please. And when you do this, you put the dollar down and say it one time, they know the next time. Instead of giving you what Crappy calls an ugly payment, 50 for 1, it's an even exchange just like that, and you're getting green chips in your rack. Okay? But again, you've got to know where you're headed next. And I think if you want to write it down, that's cool, right? Go from 12 to 24, 24 to 42, 50 for 1. And you can note that down. You're going to go press from 12 to 24, press again, 50 for 1. And if you want to remember where you are in your presses, remember we talked about the white, white, red progression? I'll show you that again. This is going to be on the back side of the rack. Again, you got plenty of rack space to do it. If you want to press aggressively like that, in the front, you're going to put your whatever your change is, right? Whatever you're going to throw out here to make the bet work. In the back, you're going to note where you are in your sequence. And again, for a new player, using your rack like this, I think, is a big help. If I want to go press, press, collect, even if it's 1-unit presses instead of full presses, but you want to be on this pattern of a full collect every so often, you can do this. Let's go 12 bucks. Okay, on the first hit. Now we're not going to go 15 for 1 the first hit. We're going to say full press. So I'm going to take the 6. We'll just work the 6 and 8. I'll take the $2 away. We don't need that. This is telling me I'm going to do just a full press. Okay, so here's a full press. So what I do is say full press, and it's going to be 14 bucks. What they will do, they will exchange the caps for you and give you back $12. That'll go into your rack. I take the white and put it underneath of the red. White chip means I'm pressing. Okay, the next hit at 20, I didn't put the $10 in there. Sorry. Next hit, I will probably go to 50 for go to 42 here. So we're gonna get paid $28, 25, $28. I'll say take me to 42. So they'll do this. They'll take 3 reds, 2 whites, bring you back this change here. And again, that was my second press. Now I see a red chip next to the 8. I know this next time is going to be, and again, I'll put my white chip up front now. I know my next move here, 50 for 1. So when that 8 rolls again, I can say 50 for 1, take the green chips back to my rack, right? And that's the way that I would work the 8. I've collected it, and it goes back under again. Now I'm going to do 2 more presses as it comes through. If the 8 happens to roll again, it's going to, again, pay 50 for another one out of my rack. I'll probably take it to 60 and take some money back, like so. That's one press. Mark it again and kind of keep working your rack. So you're white, another press, 60 pays 70. Probably goes to 90 for me. Maybe it even goes to 120 because I'm super aggressive today, right? Goes to 120. That would be a full press, nothing out of the rack. Now I'm in collect mode of 120 pays 140 and I go home. Right, there's how I work this section back here. So I use the backside sometimes to remember my pressing and collecting sequence so I don't forget where I am, because you can totally forget where you are. And every bet might be different, right? When I'm working the Philly special and I've got the 5 and 9 working that G money, I use this all the time to remember where I am, because I forget if I'm at 80 or if I'm at 120, what's my next move? And I know, like for the Philly special, let's actually work that one, because that one's interesting. The G money rather. Let's see the G money on the 9. So I want you to see how that one works for me, because that one can be confusing. Let's get all this back in the rack or back in the dealer's rack, and let me take all the other bets away and just do the 9, because the 9, again, it's one that I practice a lot to make sure I can get it right, because the bets are not always your standard size bets. Let's go here. Let's make the 9 look like 20 bucks, which is my preferred starting point for this thing. So 20 bucks. It pays $28, okay? Now, what I'm going to do with it, I'm going to take it to 50. So let me clear all this stuff out of the rack. We'll focus on just and only the 9. Jeez, John, come on. So pretend the rest of the stuff's there, but I want to not confuse your eyes. So only the 9 is going to be at play for a minute. We know that this pays $28. I have $20 here. $25, $35, $45, $47. Right? Wait. $48. I was wrong, right? I know my next move for this is going to be take it to 50. Right? I have my $2 ready to go. Right? I'm in press mode right here. And this one only has a dual move to it. Right? So I know that I'm going to be dropping 2 and making it look like 50 bucks. So as soon as the 9 rolls, I'm like dropping $2 out there, make it look like 50 is what I say. Make it look like 50. The dealer will take all this money away and stack me up to 50 bucks. Now I know I want to collect. The next one is a hard collect for me. And this one gets weird, right? 50 is going to pay 70 bucks, 50, 70 bucks, okay? And then I'm going to pump the bet up. I know when I'm on a collect, I go to the next level for me, which is, in this case, 40 bucks. I go up 20 to 40, 40 to 80. And this goes into my rack, okay? Now, here, we're back to press mode. And what I know about this one is that 80 is going to pay twice, right? 80 will pay, 40 will pay $56, 55, 56 bucks. Okay, let's add it up. 75, 80, 1. So I would have needed $4 in the front of my rack to say, make it look like 100. 75, 85, 95, 96, drop 4, make it 100. Becomes a black chip, they take all this away. And again, know that up front that it's going to be a $4 contribution, and now you're in collect mode, and that pays 140, 125, 140. And your next move in here is to make it look like 80. So 40 goes to 80 now, okay? And I would know that ahead of time. Okay, knowing we get to 140, I'm going to say make it look like 80, please. Now, a good way to do that, because you're going to have the $100 out here, is to have 80 bucks sitting here in the front, waiting for it. Okay, you can say make it look like 80, please, and you'll just get the black chip back. It's an easier way to do the bet. So once you go from here to here, you can have 80 bucks sitting right there, waiting for it to happen. Right. So when that 140 comes in, they go 140. You say make it look like 80. Return the black chip and replace your money just like so. Makes it super easy for them to do, and it's quick and you're on it. That's a confidence move when you have it, right? And then we're at 80 bucks. And what does 80 pay? 80 pays 112, okay? 110, 112. Let's add up what this looks like and see what our next press be, okay? There's 100, 75, 185, 190, 2. Well, guess what? It's $8. The progression is drop 2, drop 4, drop 8. Make it look like what? 200. Drop 8. So when you're here at $80, you got $8 here. You can say to them, ahead of all that payment, to say, make it look like 200, please. And the first time they're gonna go, what? They'll pay it once and go, oh, okay, I see what you got there. 112 plus 8 makes $200. Boom, it goes to 200. And again, you know, there's our $200. Should this pay what it pays, 280? But you're gonna go, your next one's gonna be 120. Okay, so 120 is gonna be your next bet. I might actually have a set of red chips up here to do the 120, like so. I'm gonna go from 80 to 120. So when this pays, and we'll pay $280, like so, I'll say, make me look like 120. They'll return a black and put it up top. And again, it's knowing your progression and keeping your eye here on when you're collecting and when you're pressing, right? And again, every time I'm up, right, when I'm in press mode, you have to know what this is gonna pay and know what your next thing is gonna be. The next thing is gonna be $16 out of the rack to make the next bet go to 300. Okay, so it's 2, 4, 8, 16, right? And that's how we're gonna do this. So that's, again, when I'm practicing, I'm knowing what's happening. I know what I'm gonna do. I keep track of my press collect move. In the front, I use the front to have and house my next move. If it's $12, it's $12 and it's sitting there waiting for the next hit to come. Drop the 12, take me to 300, please. When the 300 hits, then it pays 420. I can drop the next, whatever the next is, and take me to 600. And move like that. So know what your change is. This really helps speed the game up for you and for them. And again, there's nothing wrong at all with having a piece of paper or an index card that has those moves. And you might say, hit 1, you know, add 2, that is 50, pays whatever. Hit 2, drop $1, take the 50, whatever your pattern, and drop it. Have the 5 and 9, the 6 and 8, and the 4 and 10 all spelled out on paper. Okay, this is how things like the 4-10 flip get developed, right? When you're flipping the 4 and 10, I think it's important to know where you are in the flip, because sometimes you forget that you didn't collect the first one. Right? I've done that twice actually. It worked out for me. But if you're here at $35 on a 4 or 10, right? There's nothing to add from your rack, but you know you're going to press, collect, and press. That's the pattern for the 4-10 flip. Okay, let's look at the pattern. You're going to press. Actually, it's press, collect. Let me get that. I guess press, collect is how we do it. Press, collect. It looks like this. First hit, we know pays $70. So you're going to press that one. Looks like 100. I didn't put enough chips out there, but it's $100 with 5 change. That's your first one. There's your 5 change. Now you collect. It pays $200. You collect the $200. Then you're going to press. Okay, when that hits again, hits for $200, you're going to drop, make it look like 350 with $50 change. And then it's the collect. Then it's the big collect. The big collect is going to be the $700, right? There's the 700. And bring me down. Boom, $1,000. That's the 4-10 flip. It's that pattern. It's press, collect, 4 hits. But you manage it here because you can forget where you are. You can forget if you took that second collect. In the heat of the moment, because what can happen sometimes is the 4 might be here. Let's get the 10 up there, right? You might be here. They might both have a black chip on them, right? And maybe the 10 was pressed up and collected on, and it needs to go to 350. And the 4 might have been pressed up and not yet collected on. You know, oh, I got to collect the next 2 blacks here, and then I can go back into press mode, right? That's how you can keep control of where you are in the heat of the moment. I think your rack is a big tool for you. And again, practice what you're going to say. Take me to 100. Make it look like the next bet you want it to look like. When you say make it look like, you're telling the dealer you're going to replace your bet with something completely new. That's kind of what that means to them, where press a unit, press by 2 units, full press, parlay, those things are sequences they can play in here. Make it look like X normally means I'm going to change the bet from 42 to 90 or something like that, right? It's not a standard thing. I think using your words, I think having your rack in a controlled place where you can make the next move quickly and always know where you are in your sequence. If you're a pressing player and you're nervous and you're not practiced on the strategy, you can get lost in here, right? So again, I practice with those dice like I showed you yesterday to make sure I know what my strategy looks like against the rolls. That's how I build the strategy. When I'm practicing playing, this is what I do. I talk to myself like a moron down here. My wife says, "What are you doing down there?" I'm like, I'm practicing my bets. And you'll notice that when I deal in the garage, I oftentimes will say the words there too. You'll often hear me say, make it look like whatever, as I'm describing the bets, because I'm practicing my verbals. I'm making sure that I'm saying the right things as I'm practicing my strategy play. So I think it's an important piece that can be forgotten in all the machinations of finding the perfect way to play. You got to be able to work the table. So important to do that. All right. So there we go. I'm going to come back over here. Let's see. I'm going to come back to turn the light off. Come back over here. And let's see. Any questions I need to answer? Wow. Chat is on fire today. PCs. Jacob's in the house. Everybody wants to talk to Jacob. Jacob is a craps mind for sure. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go. There we go. You say Alfredo, Nemo, and Craig. Alfredo's already on the list. Nemo's not on the list, and Craig's not. Craig's on the list too. Craig's there, Jen. And Ken is also there. So here's the problem, Jen. Let me show you this again. And this is on them, not me. They are here. You see, Ken is already in the list. Craig is also in the list. This thing only picks up live episodes that are pre-scheduled. So they have to go to YouTube or their app and pre-schedule their live. This CGTV it goes to YouTube and it polls every 5 minutes or so to see what's been published. So if there's a new live episode coming, it will find it. But if they just press the button and go live without a pre-schedule, that won't pick it up. So it only works on scheduled live videos right now. So until I figure out how to do it some other way, that's what happens. So I need everybody that wants to be on the TV listings to do it that way, and then I can get them super easy into the system. It's not that hard to do. Just I need to get them pre-scheduled. All right. Let's see. What else? I don't see anything else. PC, that make it look like makes you think of changing the bet. Yes. This is exactly right. When I say, and again, make it look like normally means a complete change. And when I'm doing, and I made mention of it, but I didn't show it to you. Let me go back there and show it to you. I think it's an important one too. And I know that Jacob's done the same thing in his show. And I do this at the casino quite a bit actually, because I'll do, like when I'm doing the Philly special, or if I'm doing something, let's say that I get to here. Let's say that I get into this world here. I'm just going to make up some bets. We have a $50 10 and I got a $20 4. Let's say that I'm here, okay? Which is a nice little sequence, okay? And I know what's going to happen, right? I've got 50 here, I got 20 here, I got 70 on these, maybe the 6 is at 90, right? We're looking good. We have a great little set, and I'm like, wow, I'm good with all this. My next move is going to be 96 across, or my next move is going to be 64 across. I'm going to go full table minimum regress. Let's say that's what I want to do and restart the process. Or maybe it's 96. It doesn't really matter. I might actually do this. I might actually have it in my rack, because you know how it goes, right? 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of reds, 2 sets of whites, right? All that crap that's in your rack taking up space like this. Let's say the 8 hits for $70, okay? I may actually do this, right? When he's ready for me, I'll have this sitting out here, ready to rock and roll. Boom. And I'll say, take me down to 96 across, please. And I'll have $96 sitting right here, and all this just comes right back to me. They just go exchange, and they come over here and they go and set me up. Boom, just like so, right? That's a killer way to save some time. If you have your money sitting there ready to go, that's in your rack and Bob's your uncle. Like you can be done. Have 66 bucks sitting here or 64 bucks and just say, take me down to, and have it sitting there for them. Ideally with the whites that they already need, they can just go and set that thing right up in 2 seconds and be done with it. Makes it hella easy on the dealers and super fast at the table. And you get all your greens back in your rack, which is kind of nice. You get to reset your rack with pretty Christmas colors, which we always like to do. That's an important thing. So make it look like, or take me down to, having that regression money sitting there, I think is kind of a power move. And dealers, I know my local dealers really appreciate when I do that. So, all right, I think that's it. It's all the time we have. It's 9 o'clock. I'm always running late, it seems like. Let's go final thoughts here. Final thoughts are simple. Practice, practice, practice all the time. Ed says, play like you practice, practice like you play. He's talking more about throws. I say the same thing. Practice like a beast. Use your words. Practice what am I going to say? Practice where my money is in my rack so I can throw the right thing out there. Know with those 6 slots in your rack, what's going out for the next one. If I have a buck in front of me and the 6 rolls, and I might even forget where I am, right? I might forget where I am. And I drop the buck, the dealer will know. I'm like, okay, 15 for 1, or it's 50 for 1, or whatever it's going to be. Or I have my 4 bucks sitting out there, or 3 bucks sitting out there. I know we're going to 30 bucks, right? Know it, right? You got 12, you got 14 coming, you're dropping 4, it looks like 30. Drop the money out there and you're ready to go when it's your turn to come. The one thing you can't practice is the order of operations. You can't practice when they're getting to you, but you can practice, knowing that when it is your turn, where my money goes, what I say, how much I'm putting out there, or what I expect to get back. You should also know, by the way, what's coming back. So if it's $56 payment, make sure you're getting 56 bucks. Drop 4 for 60. Pro tip. All right, that's it. I'm out, guys. I'm going to go get a refill here, get in the garage. We'll do a little 6, 7, 8 today in the garage for the paycheck. And with that said, all love yous and God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye.